Hey everyone, Fred Wissen here from PTownSubbie, and I want to do a little casting video showing the use of uh, my tube-in silicone molds with Alumilite Clear Slow. I've got the slow style of Alumilite Clear, and some label castings that we're coming out with. So what we've got here is a nice little stand from the sewing section at Walmart that we keep all our label castings on when we're preparing them ready to come out for casting. So we've got 30 of them here. I've got 15 molds in front of me that we're gonna take and put these into. So the labels are from onlinelabels.com, and they're the weatherproof matte finish for the inkjet. Hey everyone, now that we're on our other webcam here, you can see in front of me I've got 4 pink silicone molds. So the pink silicone molds are good for polyester and urethane resins. So and the pink molds I'm no longer making. These have some age to them. I've used them quite a bit. And then I've got the blue molds that we're making exclusively now that will do everything the pink molds will do, plus we'll do epoxy resin. So here's a version of the blue mold. So what I'm using today is Alumilite Clear Slow, and so since that is a urethane resin, it's fine to use in these pink molds. What I've got in front of me here is I have a cup full of plugs, and so these online labels that we're doing here. This is a EMS label with a orange line down through the flag that's laid behind the EMS. So what I'll do is make sure that my label seam is down fully, and then I'll take my plug. I usually put 2 plugs in an end at a time, and then I'll take and place my picture or my label in the mold. Take another plug, slide it in the other end, and just kind of let it sit there for a minute. Grab another one. This is the same kind again. Stick it in on the plug. Put a plug in the other side. And this now becomes the important part. As you can see, as I push in on the plugs, the side of the silicone mold deflects in, and when I let go, the side deflects back out and the plug dislodges. So the way that I do this is, with it sitting on the table, I push in until the plugs are fully seated, and then I pull out on the side of the mold. And then when the mold pushes back in, it holds the stoppers in place. So you can see how the stoppers here and here are shown, and you've got a little bit of deflection outward on the silicone itself. That means that the silicone is pushing those plugs inward. All right, so now you see it for both those sides. So that's what you're looking for when you're done with this. So now I'm just going to go through and I'll finish putting the rest of these in. All right, now that I have 4 of these done, underneath them is a piece of HDPE that fits in my mold rack. It's a mold rack with the bottom and three shelves. So what I do is kind of play a little game of Jenga and get these aligned in here so that they sit as close as possible to each other so that they'll slide into the mold rack. So I'll pull this out of the way, move my mold rack over here, and as you see here, there's the mold rack with the plexiglass top, three sides, and the sides are grooved. So the flat part, there's three flats on the shelves here, and these three flats align to the sides. So the rack slides in and sits in place just like that. So now when I get the other two shelves done, they'll slide in, and I can do up to 32 blanks in with this one set of castings. So now I'll go ahead and move on to the other shelves, and we'll come back when I'm done. All right, now that we've got all these put in here, like I said, I've got 30 of them put together, and each of the cavities in here in this in the Sierra style with the Sierra tube takes approximately 20 grams per cavity. So I've got 30 of them at 20 grams a piece. That's 600 total grams that I need. So I need 300 grams of A and 300 grams of B. So I'm going to do this in two different cups, which means I'll divide that in half. So I'm going to put 150 grams of A in each cup, or something close to that. So I took my cup, put it on top of my scale, and then I'm going to zero it with the cup on top of it. Now I'm going to pour my part A in until I get close to 150. If I go a little bit over, that's fine. All right, so that's 153. So the next thing I do is I take a magic marker and I write on here 153 so that I know how much is in that cup. Set it aside, put my other cup on there, make sure I'm at zero still, and then fill up the second cup. All right. That one we took to 157. Not a big deal, I'll have a little bit left over. That's fine. So now I'm going to get my part B, and with the cup sitting on here, I'll zero it out. Now that I put that in there, I need to zero it out again. So my cup says 157, so I want to be 157, maybe 158 with part B. Not a whole lot more, but a little bit more is fine. Alright, so there we have 157. Put my other cup up there, zero it, and I want 153 in this one. Alright, there we go. 154, close enough for government work. Alright, now I'm going to start mixing. And so since this is slow, I'm not really that pressed for time. 12 minutes of open time should be more than enough to get these two cups mixed and then poured, everything put in my pot rack, and then put into the pressure pot. Straight the sides. Some guys have talked about using mechanical mixers. I just haven't gotten around to it. So I'll let those sit for just a second. So what you're going to want to do is, I'm going to start with the 3 over here because those go on the bottom of my pot rack. So I'll pour those first and then set them in the bottom of my pot rack. That way the shelves will slide right over the top of the rest of them. So let me take and mix this, and then I'll go ahead and pour. 3 mixes should be plenty enough for the length of time that I mixed them. Alumilite, you want to make sure you mix really well. If you don't mix it well, sometimes you'll get some cloudiness in your blank, but if you mix it well, everything should turn out just fine. So, ready to start pouring now. So I usually pour over the top of the blank on one end, let it fill up. And these cavities are made deeper than they are wider, so you don't have to worry too much about filling all the way to the very top of the rim. You want to get really close, but you don't have to overfill. Now that those 3 are done, I'll slide them onto the bottom of my pot rack. And then see if I can't get the pot rack up here so you can see how I'm doing this. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and pour the rest of them on the first shelf. You can see there's a lot of air bubbles in this, but since I'm going to put it under pressure, I'm going to put it under about 40 or 45 pounds of pressure. You won't have any problems with the air bubbles. They'll work their way out. So now I take my shelf, slide it into the pot rack, and there it's locked in place. Alright, so now we're going to take and put the last two shelves in here. So I usually put my hand on the back side to help guide it through, and there you go. We've got all 32 or all 30 blanks. You can see on the side here, there's a place, the hand grip, to be able to pick this up. It's heavy with that many blanks on it, but it's more than doable. Lower it right down, snug right inside the pressure pot. Put my top on. Tighten it down snug. Now we'll add pressure. That's it. About 4 more hours, we'll pull them out.